The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the Science Media Cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Our viewers, my name is Noman Tumuhimbise. We are streaming live on our social media pages. That is Alternative Digital on Facebook and Alternative Digital on YouTube. And also on our TikTok, I don't know whether they call TikTok a channel or a platform, but nonetheless, we are streaming live also on TikTok. Today being 26th, it's 40 years down the road, ever since the NRA, which later became NRM, captured Kampala, and today, the 26th, the president was at the Uganda Parliament swearing in back in the day, 40 years ago. It is believed, and of course, Honorable Mukaaku will definitely prove me right or otherwise, that the gentlemen and a few ladies from NRA had captured power on 25th Jan. But because Amin had captured power on 25th Jan 1971, I hear Mr. Museveni could not be, he believed in his superstition. He was like, I cannot also swear today on 25th. So the team pushed to be sworn in on 26th, which literally is now today 40 years ago. And they have been at Kololo airstrip to celebrate the gains, of course, 40 years later. Gladly today, we have Council Yvonne Mpambara. She will say hello later on. And we have Honorable Mukaaku. We have Ida Nakuya, also another activist, strugglist. She has so many titles. She contested for Kampala Central Member of Parliament. Honorable Mukaaku contested for Lubaga South Member of Parliament. The two are from Democratic Front. The one here continues to be independent in Mpambara, but she didn't contest. Previously, when hosted her, she was like she was failed by EC. The reason for which we are here is to interrogate the effectiveness of the key stakeholders. Underline key. Key, we mean those most questionable stakeholders. We mention participants in terms of candidates. We mention electoral commission in terms of overseeing and running the entire process. The religious leaders, we talk of security agencies. So let's begin from my immediate left with Council Mpambara Yvonne to say hello to our viewers.
Thank you so much, Norman. Good evening, our dear viewers, and all those who have tuned in from respective time zones. My name is Yvonne Mpambara. I'm a former presidential aspirant. I'm also a social justice lawyer and a key activist. For majority of people know me from the spaces. I'm glad to be here, especially after the recent concluded election.
In fact, we should even mention, I hear that you can even say Happy New Year up to, I think, the end of Jan also. Mukaaku, say hello to our viewers.
He has just helped me Happy New Year to all of us and the viewers, but particularly to the comrade. Should I say thank God for surviving this election episode, although it is still going on at the municipality level and the lower council levels.
And special interest groups, I gather.
Should I also say probably thank God he still keeps us while others have left this world, not because it was timely for them, but because of our mess in terms of election violence, intolerance, and failed leadership and failed governance, and the captured state and its institutions. Nonetheless, I thank you for the contributions you all make to make Uganda a better place for humanity.
Thank you. Now there comes Aida Nakuya. Aida Nakuya, start from there. And you tell us, begin by greeting colleagues, comments and our viewers, and of course, then you bring back my mic.
Yeah, to all our viewers from everywhere, those who have tuned into these different platforms. I just want to celebrate you, Norman. I keep saying every day I come here, I see growth. I just want to celebrate the team you're working with. I just want to credit you for being consistent in this. You know, starting is another thing and remaining consistent in the system is another thing. One of the things that is failing the opposition of this country, to see that Museveni is celebrating now 90 years, 40. 40. Okay, I thought 90 of age. I mean this 40 of the NRM regime. I think the opposition in a way or the other to be consistent in some of the things it does, and we want to create that consistency as we, the generation. I just want to salute whoever is watching. I want to bless the Lord for seeing us through this entire chaos of the election. And I want to celebrate the mighty Democratic Front Party for the support it granted unto us, and to me in particular. I would say me, I don't know, someone else may say I did not see any support from my party, but I saw my party see me through different
and also I'm like, okay, what about us? Proceed.
You know, DFL has created something in me that everyone needs a political party as a family to belong to. It makes it very easy when you contest, even after losing, you have that president who will call you and say, are you okay? Worry not, we may not have crossed here, but we are yet to cross. We may have lost the battle, but the war is still on. So I just want to bless my party for that. And all the people have reached out to us, to me. Many people have reached out to me, telling me how brave I am, how consistent I am, how I just need to keep it up. I don't know if it were them, they would have kept it up. But I want to let you know that I'm still holding the banner. And at the right time, that banner will be held higher than it is right now. I want to celebrate the people of Kampala Central and Kampala at large. And Ugandans. I just want to say something that I don't want to skip. Youths, distance yourselves from the comment you do not understand. That's what I can say. I give it back to you.
That sounds philosophical. What do you mean comment? Anyway,
I bring the microphone back to you.
Before we actually move to what has captivated Norman, Norman in his other flags has also been a midwife of DF.
Okay.
We have this wonderful team, and of course we hope that they will give us their best, because at the end of it all, there is, I don't want to use the words like there is something called Uganda. There is a country called Uganda that belongs to all of us, as a matter of fact. Whether you're DF, you're NRM, you're NOP, you're DP, mention but a few, there is that country called Uganda that deserves the best brains and good ideas to move it forward. I did not want to, of course, okay, I wanted to, she mentioned the comedy, but we'll reach there. First of all,
You don't address it.
no. First of all, 40 years down the road, if I gave you a minute or so, is it worth celebrating in the first place? Because the gentlemen have been in Kololo, it's full. And if I may give you highlights, and I know the three of you know Uganda, the president looked angry, and he said these words: police shouldn't simply look on as some people. In fact, he was justifying the reason for which people didn't turn up to vote. That you, the elders, the young people, threatened his voters by saying, that's the word he used. And he spoke, he used in Uganda. That people were saying, so, the 40 years this gentleman was celebrating with his team, for me it is what stood out for me. That young people were threatening his voters with such statements, and the police was looking on. So literally, he needs police to arrest whoever says, gentlemen, I am not, okay, I'll just use the words. I haven't said they have Kusiwadi Kasaja onto Uganda, but so begin from there. 40 years.
Paraphrasing and quoting.
Yeah, sure.
One of the statements you said earlier on was the fact that NRM didn't want to swear in on the same date
with Amin.
that Idi Amin had also come into power.
Yeah.
And it's very ironic, the kind of similarities now that Ugandans have started pointing out between the two regimes, you know, to the extent that Ugandans now have started comparing NRM regime to the Idi Amin regime in terms of the violence, in terms of the nature of suppression that Ugandans have started facing, or that they've been seeing, especially during elections, with opposition. So it's very ironic that they didn't want to swear in on similar dates, but we are slowly starting to draw similarities between the two regimes. In terms of how we are going to analyze, I think there are about 4 phases of how we can look at this liberation struggle, or what I mean. At the end of the day, I'm not here to be their spokesperson, but I think NRM can be looked at, its performance can be looked at in those 4 in particular. They started in 1986, so we can compare that between 1986, the first phase can be 1986 to 1995, I think right before they pushed out the first constitution. In those years, I think Ugandans were very happy because we pushed out the first reconstruction of the nation. And Ugandans had that hope in NRM because for once they had entered a transition of seeing something progressive happen, especially since they had gone through very turbulent regimes of Idi Amin, of Obote. So to them, they were seeing that now that there's this promising young person who has come in with all these new reforms, who has come in with a very strong vision for Uganda. There was so much hope. And it's very unfortunate that, you know, as soon as you start seeing that progress in those first years, the second phase between 1995 now to about maybe let's say 2016, now we start seeing opposition merging and saying that there are certain things that are not going right. Despite certain things going the right way, there are some achievements, obviously, that are now starting to progress in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the so-called security, in terms of, you know, social issues like UPE. We were seeing certain progress. But then I think this was the emergence of Besigye. This was a period when Besigye rose as an opposition candidate, and we started seeing slowly the gaps that were now existing in terms of this new vision Ugandans had picked up. And it's why we start seeing bits of democracy being chipped away. Now, when Besigye starts getting arrested, his crowds are beaten. When we had things like walk to work, slowly taking shape because, you know, Ugandans were waking up to realize that it's not, vision has to be carried forward in a way that is, you know, in partnership with Ugandans, in partnership with the people. So they started realizing that also Museveni was slowly starting to sideline the vision he had sold them, and now they are lining behind Besigye, and they're slowly seeing the nature of how suppressive NRM can be. It's when now they also stepped forward and said, there's something not right. And I think around 2015 was when they amended, I think, the term limit. It was a term limit because age limit was much later in 2017, if I remember. No, 2005 actually. So now we start seeing levels of suppression from a regime that we had trusted. Ugandans say seeing the level of suppression in terms of opposition. You could no longer dissent, and slowly by slowly they realized that the person who had sold them a vision is no longer the nature of leader they wanted. But it's very unfortunate that 4 decades down the road, we still have the same leadership, a person who has made so many statements saying that the problem with Africa is that it has leaders who do not want to leave power. And we know that when you obviously stay in power for too long, things start slowly regressing.
No, but he clarified and added leaders who stay longer in power if they are not voted. So the other one was silent if they are not voted. So if you stop, I think he doesn't want you to quote people who overstay in power. No, if they are not voted. And he is voted. In so many cases, he has stood out to say, if it weren't people, I mean, I have a lot to do in Chisozi and Rachituda, but he's doing it for us as a country, as citizens. That's why.
No, there's no such thing. Because also that level of power holding is very dangerous. And we're about to discuss the nature of irregularities.
So in short, would you not celebrate the 40 years?
We can't celebrate them now, especially with the generational gaps of what liberation is. We can't celebrate them now.
Glad to hear. Gladly, Honorable Mukaaku that we have here beats us by age, experience, to mention but a few. In fact, I stand to be corrected. He could be one of the people that, I mean, while Mr. Museveni celebrates 40 years of being in power, most likely that gentleman celebrates 40 years of fighting him. So, as soon as Museveni was sworn in, Mukaaku started fighting him. So, no, Mukaaku. Okay. I think it's an obvious answer. You won't celebrate the 40 years, but anyhow, it's not. Yeah, no. You're celebrating 40 years of fighting him, and UN of unsuccessful struggle of 40 years. What has happened, and why have you failed the struggle? Someone is celebrating 40 years of being here. You are literally celebrating 40 years also fighting him and failing to take him away. Now you are handing him over to Nakuya to also begin from that fight to the same man. Proceed on from there, so we hear your views.
Thank you very much, Norman. I thank my colleague, former presidential aspirant, and I also pity her and this generation for all the thwarted aspirations that have not been irrigated, and all the denied opportunity for the individuals, our families, our communities, and special interest groups, stakeholding special interest groups, including political parties and political formations. After being promised so much, today, first of all, one would say, it's always good to celebrate the number. Who among us, or our children, I'm sure all of us have children, maybe she doesn't have.
Don't have.
Yet, but at least in the family, who has not celebrated birthdays? 40 years old, 20 years old, 9 years old, 60 years old. But the other question that's most important, what are you celebrating after 40 years? Just the number and thanking God for keeping you? Or you have also made a contribution? Normally, during birthdays, we don't go deep into investigating these, but some people do when we die.
You have to account for the time we were here.
When they are reading your
will.
Yes, the epitaph. Is it called the epitaph? And they're reading it, and they say, Mpambara, she has been a 35-year-old, sorry to have left the country, but her CV is as short as this, or is as long as this. And those who come to really bury, they give the first evidence is that you see when there are few people, you know she touched few hearts, and one of a few hearts and minds. When there are many, that's part of the evidence that you have actually left the world having touched.
You left a legacy.
You left a legacy. It is the same thing. NRM celebrating, and Uganda may be celebrating 40 years since. It's great, the number. But we need to know what have we achieved. Secondly, and they chose a very good theme. Like usually people do. I know one of the other, my colleagues, presidential aspirants, one time he went to the US and was told, what would you have done? No, even if I implemented the program of the regime, as it is, I don't need to produce a manifesto. Well, people looked at him and they made their judgment. This time round, NRM turns around and says, we are celebrating the heroes.
Yeah, sure.
The heroes. On that, I don't fault them. Like I don't fault them on the numbers. I don't fault them because the heroes at the time taking on that responsibility
Overthrow.
of saying, look, we need to overthrow this dictatorship. These dictators, we must put a halt to dictatorship. Idi Amin, Lutwa, Obote 1, Obote 2, and many other small, the Binaisa and whatever. And we need to put our back on this chaos in the country. That was great. That was great. These were young men. Some of them had not even left their university. They sacrificed. Others were in the police. It was not easy to leave the police at the time and go to liberate a country. Others were just graduating doctors, like my friend Dr. Kiza Vesiji. I pray for him all the time. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
So it was great. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, now the president, leading that. It was great. I don't want to remove it from him. The Regemas, the Kagames, who later on even told us they were not Ugandans. Sacrificing for a citizen, a country that does not belong to you, we must give them a clap. But when it comes to investigating, do they get a pass mark on the 10-point program?
It should be my question to you.
On the 10-point program. I have had the enumerations today of the leadership that was celebrating. Narration of, look, today, at a time, even beer, as beer, they used to line up for it. There was scarcity. Of course, we know there was scarcity because we had sanctions on every border of the country. In fact, the real cause for a fight was that we needed to get out of that. But the 10-point program, when you investigate the 10-point program, we have virtually not passed, not gone half the pass mark. What we now today say, you see today, Olinabuli warning kufuna.
Have fun.
That's great. It's like today you say, the moon, you see the moon is is shining. Because naturally, as long as you are not dead, you're going to see the moon. As long as you belong to the global world, you are going to have this technology. Today, they say now we have, even the TikTok should be thankful of the ENA having ushered in
one of the games.
This. But even when you go to Somalia,
there are some games.
They have this. So for me, the pass mark, the way we look at it, what we need to know in a marking scheme, maybe sometimes they say my eyes are squinted because I don't see what they see. But I know for sure I can't celebrate the population growing from, say, 12 million to 45.
He immunized the Nakuyas of this world from the
Immunized,
6 killer diseases. That's
definitely we
what
had
he said.
to. But what I'm talking about, you are saying 10-point program. If you went point by point,
Yeah.
never must we ever have a stolen election. Because that was the spark of everything.
Yeah.
Never to rig elections in Uganda again. What are we having today? Why did we kill those people in the Rural Triangle and everyone else around this country? Never to stifle democracy. Never. Because one of the points is about democracy. Rule of law, constitutionalism. And she has just talked about it. Yes, we committed to make a new constitution and forget all about the other constitutions. But you remove the safety valves. You attack the pillars of our constitution. The pillars of our constitution have been attacked to the level of even watering down who must be a citizen of Uganda. And what right and entitlement should they have? In Libya, don't forget, in Libya, people were getting free houses, free medication, Medicare, free education. But today, Libya is burning. Why? Because you can enumerate all those, the few health centers that you have put up, UPE, they can just be blown away in minutes if you don't do the right things that took you to fight. In Libya is the greatest example. Even Iraq. Iraq was beyond, under Saddam. They were manufacturing. They manufactured Scud missiles. For God's sake, if they were here, we would now, in a country where we pride ourselves on being in the middle income economy, we pride ourselves, and we know that we're not there, not even per capita. But in Iraq, it was a different story. Today, Iraq has burnt today. So my investigation, my interrogation here is, what have we done about that social contract we signed with blood and we carved in blood, human blood and life? What have we achieved along those lines? I would say we don't even reach anywhere near the pass mark.
Someone would say, those are views of Mukaaku. But nonetheless, I think it's a two-way. Both fortunately and unfortunately, the lady at the extreme end there, most likely she wasn't born. By the time the gentleman
I needed to remind you that this regime found me in senior 5.
No, for you,
Senior 5.
I mean her.
No.
Yeah.
Took 8 years to become a normal, responsible
a
citizen.
strong opposition.
Now, how about my friend here and my friend
that's
here?
What I mean, Honorable Mukaaku. So now for her, unlike you, it's not to preempt her submission. She has to celebrate the 40 years because under the current regime, they immunized her. You the Gen Z, the generation. Otherwise, people could have died, and they celebrated that for having her here. Immunized the polio. Polio was taking people. I know you know. So most likely, Ida could be a beneficiary. But let's begin from there, Madam Beneficiary. You served in a regime as a youth councillor. Aren't you proud of your system
You see
that has
how-
brought you up as their cadre?
Now she's the leader in DF.
Now,
this is the
and wait a
greatest.
second. Also, women were brought away from the kitchen to the dining. Like all those gains protect. Why don't you celebrate the 40 years?
I think this is the greatest error that I made coming to sit at the edge. When all
You should have been.
I shouldn't even have been there, but as if
The 40
Honorable
years.
Mukaaku, 40 years down the road, he seems to be the moderator of this show. And if there is anyone to celebrate, It shouldn't have been me. It shouldn't be me. I have a friend. She's my age mate right now. You know, as you grow, you have dreams. You have aspirations. You feel at a certain age, you would have gotten something. You would have reached somewhere. You would have achieved something. But you end up saying you're growing and achieving nothing. I have a friend I went with at campus, and she was so much into getting married. And she told me I must get married immediately after campus. We celebrated her 25 years, 26 years. No what?
No marriage.
No marriage. 27 years, 28 years. When she clocked 29, she told me, Aida, this is the last birthday I'm celebrating when I'm still single. And ever since then, I want to be sincere, I've never attended any of her birthdays. I think it was indeed the last birthday she celebrated. So in the same spirit.
Is she still alive?
Yes, she is.
Stuck at 29.
She is, but I don't want to go there. She saw no reason to celebrate the other years without achieving something.
The basic things.
Without achieving the best kind. One of the best she felt she had to have is a family and being legally married to someone. She felt that could be the other cause of her celebration in life. And as you're asking if I'm celebrating this, I'm wondering, should I celebrate?
No,
Why
I think
should I celebrate? A minute.
Out of the 40 years, get some, celebrate some, maybe celebrate 20. Leave the other 20, celebrate 20. Not entirely the 40 years over them.
The other thing that came to my mind as you were asking, you began with something that was like, inti bagambe inti muntu sibyeka kaki.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said police should do its work. People are there saying, mutusibyeko akasajja.
Kati nange kyenebuuza batusibyeko akasajja oba akasajja katwesibyeko.
No, that's everything.
Because
I don't know. Maybe he will answer.
I'm asking oba katwesibyeko. You know, by the time a man says, I want to marry, he knows very well that he's ready for marriage. A girl child may say, I want, but when she's practically not what? Not ready. But when a man comes out boldly and says, I now want to marry, he's very much aware. Many years back, she was ready for marriage, but she has not yet achieved it. So when you see someone saying that I'll not cling on power, meaning that he has already clung on to power, but doesn't want to leave what? Power. When you see another statement coming from a man saying that I will not contest for presidency in 2006, that's also another message that this man has outlived his value as a resilient leader. So he's trying to find a way of seeing how best to come in still as a leader, but not as a resilient one. Not as a leader from whom people expect results, but as a leader who, just for the country to say, we have a president. We have a president. We have a president. And for generations to come, and he brags, I have been president for these years.
Because
then we should also look at this, Norman. Who should celebrate? You think who should celebrate best?
Those that were immunized from
now,
sexual diseases.
After 40 years, who is the best person to celebrate? I'll still use the example of marriage. When you tie a knot with your spouse, every anniversary, there are people who celebrate with you. But whom do you think celebrates most?
They were at Kololo, majority of whom young people.
Don't look at who. It makes no sense for a man to celebrate his anniversary minus his wife when the wife is already divorced. Literally meaning there is no what? Anniversary. Today, the best person to celebrate the 40 years, and we say, yes, you have all the right to celebrate. One are the Kadogos, who were recruited then in the battlefield. Are they celebrating? Two are the lives of the young boys you got at 26, the likes of Major General Mugisha Muntu. Are they celebrating with you? Three, you have people like Dr. Besigye, who took care of you selflessly. Because if I told Dr. Kanokiza Besigye was selfish, Museveni was not going to come out of the bush. You could have killed him in terms of giving him poison as medicine.
How about contemporaries like Kanyeham?
I'm telling you, there are those people who are meant to, they are the ones who's meant, not me. That's actually a wrong question being asked from Nakuya. I must celebrate something else, not your 40 years in power. I did not sign any contract to be born in this generation and this regime. I did not alarm in my mother's womb. Woman, push me out.
I want to be part of the...
I must be part of this celebration. I did not. And this generation did not meet me. I met it on the way. So why should I celebrate?
You're a victim of circumstance.
I am a victim actually of circumstances.
Of him.
So if my father is not celebrating, then who am I to celebrate? If Kano is rotting in prison, then why should I celebrate? He's the one meant to celebrate. I mean, he's the best to discuss this topic, to make me even love, to dance to the tunes that he's tuning for me. If he's not doing that, at this minute as we are making this discussion, let the echoes, let the words of those men who are with this man in the bush come back to us. There are even today those who may have celebrated with them, the likes of Otafire. I don't know whether he was in Kololo. He may have been there physically, but spiritually absent. I don't know whether the Kadogos are even still there.
Now they are old men.
At my home, I happen to
because
be...
they were Kadogos then, now they are old men.
Exactly. At my home, I happen to be close to a Kadogo.
A former Kadogo.
A former Kadogo. You cannot say former Kadogo because we've not had any other recruits of Kadogos.
Because you cannot be a Kadogo forever. So they were Kadogos back in the day. So now they are old. Okay, old Kadogos. Advanced Kadogos.
I left the man in his house sleeping, not going to Kololo.
Oh dear.
So me, why am I celebrating? Then when you see a father in a home forcing his children to call him daddy, no, there is a problem. When you, normally when you go back home and you get your son and you tell your son, I'm your father, no, by all means there is a problem. We have reached to that. When did Museveni go to the bush? When?
He's been, I mean, from his writings, he's been there several occasions. He has 1972.
When did this that brought him into power happen?
1980.
1980, why?
81.
Why?
He mentioned vote rigging.
Vote rigging, was it his vote?
He was a sympathizer.
Did he stand as the presidential candidate?
To those who lost.
Today, if the Museveni of 1980 meets the Museveni of 2026, do they greet each other? And you want me to celebrate? You're bleaching your own attire. You're staining it with blood. Let it be blood, but you're staining it with a star. In my language, you call it amasanda. That even when you wash, it will never go out. Thank you for bringing in the democracy. Thank you for fighting for the human rights. Thank you for bringing the elections now that people can elect their own leaders. But we cry and yell and shout in anger, seeing a regime that is forcing us into an election whereby the chairperson of the Electoral Commission is selected by the president of the regime. We yearn for the electoral and constitutional reforms. We want to see them fathering and mothering our motherland, and we are not seeing them anyway. We yearn to see political parties coming up and be independent, but they are nowhere because there is a one man who has all the machinery, all the funds, all it takes to put everything at a stale.
So in short, that's to celebrate.
We are not celebrating a thing. We are decrying. No man. There are parents who are not immunizing their children. And I don't want to tell parents not to immunize theirs. I immunized my firstborn, my second I did not immunize. She's fine. She does not have polio. And she's growing steadily. If you even ask the president today why they are immunizing children, he will not have a reason. Today, for your child to be fully vaccinated, he is injected over 9 times. Is it even 9 only? You take your child at birth, an injection. The second time you go, and 2 injections on this thigh, 1 injection on this thigh. The third time you go, 3 injections here, another injection on this thigh. The first time you go, so now no one is even asking that, Banang, what are we immunizing our children with? What is the cause for this immunization? We are waiting to see where this will end the world. No wonder it may be the cause of the young deaths that we are having today. Children are dying at a young age.
Okay.
There are those they immunize lately and they get paralyzed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
because we do not know, and the regime does not know. And all you want to brag is you brought in immunization.
Yeah, 40 years. Okay, let me pause there and then come back straight in our remaining minutes to interrogate the effectiveness of the key, and we should highlight the key stakeholders in the previous elections. And I will remind you of those key stakeholders. Definitely, you can't run away from the Electoral Commission with its mandate. If Ida and Honorable Mukaaku, you people lost and you want to use the Electoral Commission as an excuse, we are here to hear from from you. Mpambara already has issues with the Electoral Commission. It barred her from, appearing on the presidential, ballot paper. But that's one of.
Mpambara, are you a daughter of the great Mpambara, who was a revolutionary and?
Now you see,
my
you
grandfather.
have started those things of
you hear
Aida now. Now that's
we are out of the show now.
You hear those things of where we are in 1980s. So we have one of the key stakeholders. We have EC, we have the religious leaders, we have the the electorate, the 20 million plus as per their statistics, where literally close to 50% of the population didn't even bother coming to vote. We also want to add the security personnel, UPDF and police. So if you could use 5 minutes across to Honorable Mukaaku 5 and then Ida 5, summarizing the effectiveness of those in line to the expectations of all of us on whether they did execute their mandate from voters, aspirants or candidates, EC, and security personnel. Yeah, did they, given what you were saying and what you went through?
Well, I think from the very first beginning of organizing of these elections, and I'm going to start from 2025, discarding the previous 4 years that the Electoral Commission has had to organize for this particular election. Every time I meet them, I tell them that you've had budgets every single fiscal year to plan for this election, but it has been one of the most disorganized elections that Uganda has ever had. What is the reason? So Electoral Commission, from the time I think majority of the candidates now stepped forward to start the process of getting ready for nominations, there were so many irregularities, and I will start right from the presidential picking supporter forms and then returning them. Right from there, the process was so disorganized and it was so untransparent. We could not understand what the exact criteria was being used by the Electoral Commission to determine who should end up on the ballot paper, who should not. So from there, we started seeing the irregularities happening slowly. I don't know how the previous presidential and parliamentary elections had been, but this particular one, there were so many questions around the transparency of the Electoral Commission, the kind of openness they have towards, the electorate to make sure that all the processes are well understood, they are transparent, they are open, they are fair. So there were so many questions around that. And I don't want to revisit a majority of the problems that I had stated earlier. But also from that, we saw, I think recently one of the conversations we really engaged into was how late the voters registry was released, both to the public actually and to majority of the candidates that needed it. I think by law they are mandated to release it at least 2 weeks before polling day. But we can see that Electoral Commission released it about 6 days to polling day. So they underwent the law, had no regard for the law that is already set for them to do certain things, and were doing things completely outside the regulated laws of this land. So what was the intention there of them doing things in a very shabby way, of refusing to be fair and open, of refusing to be transparent towards candidates who needed this information, but also towards the electorate that needed this information to affirm whether they're on the registry, whether they are not, and even before that, even the process for making sure that you cross-check whether you're a voter or not was very short. I can assure the majority of people had no clue it was even happening, because I think they made it strictly about what, 3-4 weeks?
For the civic education?
No, for the voters registry to be. Okay. So the updated one to be released 6 days to polling day was extremely shabby. It was very untransparent. It wasn't fair. And I think if we go back to realize how, I always tell people that, there's a shabby system definitely has a side that it supports.
That's for EC. Now, the rest of the stakeholders, we have you yourself, citizens/voters.
No, I mean from the shabbiness of what we're seeing with the body that is mandated to conduct elections, you could see slowly that people are losing trust in the kind of democracy process we're having. So the voter turnout was extremely bad. I know it was at 52%, which in Uganda's history has never been that low.
Or they are contented and they considered to stay home?
Probably, if we are looking at the nature of the kind of government we have now, they're probably contented, because to them, whether you turn up to vote or not, they already knew the outcome of what this election was. But I don't want to stop there. I want to say that the EC was also working in tandem with the other arms of government. Yeah. It was working in tandem with the executive. You can see that Honorable Norbert Mao was releasing the regulations for using the biometric system as a voting, which was mandated to Ugandans. There had been no civic education on that system. People were not aware how to use those machines. And for once in its history, Uganda was going to mandatorily use a biometric system it had never completely used as a. Yet before, we had two types of systems for voting. You would either use a traditional or the machine. The machine was introduced in 2016. But this time they made it mandatory. And when did they make it mandatory in the regulations? About 3 weeks to elections. So you can see they were also working in tandem with each other. Now, when you go to parliamentary, when receiving complaints, there was a lot of shabbiness, because the time set to do majority of these things was so short. There was a clear, deliberate structure to frustrate what actual institutions should be doing to work properly. Religious leaders, honestly, I don't know why we're going to give them so much time, because they've always taken a side. There are very few that will come out to speak against the irregularities of institutions not working properly, but majority are in bed with the government. I'm sure most of them were at Kololo today to swear in the president. They don't speak up for the people. So and I think recently we've been seeing the digital campaign movement. They had put out a protest against the church, because they said the church is no longer up here for the people. It is here for whatever state machinery is in place. It is here to protect the state. They are no longer in tandem with them. Security, we definitely know what security has been doing. I know that in the previous years of the liberation struggle, security was very important, and I guess this is why we're going to now come in and start talking about the generational gap of what liberation means. Back then, they needed security as a measure for progress. But we have progressed to 40 years of a decade for someone in leadership, and I don't think it should be still a measuring stick for what their progress has been, for what their achievements have been. Right now, what the achievement should be is based on the modern issues we see in the country. For young people, they will tell you they're still unemployed. There are so many sectors that are not recognized, that are not regulated, that are not legislated. So those are the issues we should be looking at. So sometimes that liberation question becomes a historical resonance, because it resonates back to what the history was of Uganda and not the modern times. But security has failed to play its role. It has taken a side, and it is suppressing the people. You can see the heavy security that was in this town during elections. If elections are safe, as the president has told us over and over, why was the military parading the streets like they are ready to detonate bombs? Why was police arresting people? Over 400 people, actually over thousands, as reported by a couple of media houses. Over thousands of Ugandans are behind bars right now on trumped-up charges. Over 30 people were killed. Yet they had switched off the internet, so we didn't even know what was happening, and now it's when they're starting to tally the numbers. So majority of these institutions have worked together to suppress Ugandans, and in terms of what we can call liberation, honestly, I think there's a very big question mark.
Okay, Honorable Mukaaku, I think it's high time you also picked it from there. But with you, unlike Mpambara, it is to use your performance in the entire process through which you were declared a winner. If I may borrow a word, you lost the seat. Would you attribute your loss to the non-performance of these key stakeholders? Oh, it's a two-way. It's a two-way. They did perform their mandate, and you also did perform your mandate, because you are also one of the key stakeholders as a candidate, and of course as a political party, because that's also a key stakeholder, and as a voter. Yeah.
Let me begin from the angle of going back to the scholarly approach. What do we mean by a free and fair election, a rigged election,
credible,
a stolen election, and a sham election?
What did we have?
I'll only, because of time, define the last. This is what I have. What
The
is
sham.
What is a sham election? A sham election is a type of election that is conducted primarily for show, lacking genuine democratic processes or significance. And because they are always associated with, according to the scholar, they are associated with authoritarian regimes that seek to create an illusion of public support or legitimacy. So in many cases, ballots may only offer a single option, such as yes,
No.
or present misleading choices where dissenting opinions are not tolerated. The outcome of such elections is typically predetermined, making the process a mere formality rather than a true reflection of the electorate's will.
I also want to use that very definition and ask you, because you, with your expertise and experience, you knew it was bound to happen. You went ahead to participate in a literally something you knew was predetermined. Why did you participate?
And this is part of what we call the claptrap of intellectualism or reality. Norman, did you choose your father?
Definitely not.
Did you choose your mother?
No.
Did you choose being a Ugandan?
I was, found myself here. So did you find yourself in but I think I like the analogy you're putting forward, Honorable Mukaaku. You didn't simply find yourself on the ballot. You knew there was this process. You chose to raise funds, have yourself nominated, and have yourself cheated. You know? Okay, you participated. May you share with the public, what did you expect to achieve? Because by the definition, it has all the characteristics of what happened here. And you, by the way, to remind our viewers, you were a presidential candidate as well, in the same, literally the same arrangement. Why now? Why did you think that would be something new?
Only that you stopped me while I was
Proceed.
giving a simple analogy to
Okay.
demonstrate exactly
Proceed.
what it is. Because you
Proceed,
didn't
Honorable
choose to
Yeah.
your father and mother.
Yeah.
When you grew up, you also longed to go to school. Some kids are smart enough to say, Mom, when am I going to school? Because other kids are also going, meaning they are ready in their heart, in their brain, in their body. They want to go to school. They only find themselves not going to school, or when they go, no school fees, no this, no that. You can't blame it to the kids. Now this is what I want to tell you. Unless you are telling me to give, and the choice you are giving me, like many intellectuals, if you knew this was it, why didn't you just give up? When I give up,
Would
And
it
then what?
change?
when I give up and put my hands, throw my hands in the air, I go to sleep, and now I leave everything to sort itself.
And you pray to God
And I pray to God.
for
Is that a
miracles.
solution? You want to tell me that's the solution you should
No, no,
can
no,
give?
no. I represent the rest of the people that might
Now,
have different
the other
opinions.
solution would be, I don't go to that election to participate, and I choose the path Museveni took. If you are here to commend that, to recommend that, if you are here to lead that, I'll follow you. Just like Dr. Chizabes told some people. She's here. She's a young woman, born proud to be Ugandan. She didn't choose. She wanted to stand. She wasn't given a chance to stand. I played no role in choosing to have a sham election. I played no role. Right from the start, you remember PFT. Remember the red card. You remember all that happened after COVID. Said, okay, this time round, people have given themselves an excuse of COVID. Let's prepare early. Even when there is COVID, we should have a
Reforms.
democratic, free, fair, credible election. I was among those who said, as political players, political parties and organizations, and whatever you
Civil
want to
society
call them, didn't I write a booklet I came here with? You remember the Holy Alliance? You remember the Democratic Alliance? Supporting that we should have one of the electoral, constitutional, and political reforms before elections. Before elections. We cannot continue to go back on the same thing. The Electoral Commission was incompetent. The Electoral Commission messed the elections. The people, the regime didn't do this or that. The Constitution was not followed. We didn't fund. We didn't give the electoral management body resources or enough resources at all. We didn't want to go back to that. There was ballot stuffing because there was this loophole. Can we have reform? And even when, if we can have a minimum of reforms, such that we don't sleepwalk into the same thing. Unfortunately, this time around, never before, the leadership of the opposition chose to side by the regime. They said openly, in writing, in press conferences, that asking for reforms, first of all, was too much and was never going to work. I asked myself many times with Nakuya, if it is never going to work, will it be easy for that regime to organize a free and fair election? And if you go to that election, will you be declared? I didn't know. They blamed me. They gave me all sorts of nicknames. They say, who is this one asking those questions to a man that should never be asked these questions? Tasongwam, Tabuzwa, Taula Wabulwa. You remember that? No sooner did I settle with that, because I thought maybe we are just not reasoning at the same wavelength. The very people who said and who had ironed their suits to go and fight an election and win it. He said, we know even when we get 90% of the vote, we shall never be declared. How stupid can you be? Now, where we have ended, you know where we have ended?
No.
You don't know.
Hibernation.
Blood is flowing. In Mpambara alone, 30 people dead in a stroke of a pen. The other election, you know how many we lost? Officially, they told us 56, 54 in one day, arresting a presidential candidate in Luka. This time round, it seems that nothing happened. 30 people dead in a stroke of a pen, a minute in Mpambara alone. The others are not mentioned in other districts and constituencies. How long shall we go on letting blood of innocent people? People who are unassuming. They even don't know why they should vote sometimes. But we have a duty to protect their lives. We have a duty to protect their lives. Unfortunately, where we are, somebody goes, sleepwalks into this, and prides himself how good he was to elude the security when they were coming to his home.
These are techniques of...
No. This is serious. You elude the security, people are terrorized because of that, and you're lying. You tell me that the state, the regime, very interested in you and in the outcome and being sworn in again, do not know where you are, do not know where you are. You take interviews from BBC, Al Jazeera, AFP, NBS, TikTok, but the regime, numbered as it is, it doesn't know where you were, and you are seriously watching how they have house arrested your family and starving it. I don't go by that nonsense. We can fool the population to its death, to the last drop of theirs, but we must put a stop to this.
Aren't you diverting the struggle now towards...
We must put a stop to this. Do not come to write a social contract with the people and joke around with it, whether it's you in the opposition or you in government. I'm not going to be part of that.
Okay, that's Honorable Mukaaku. I have, we're going to share these remaining 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes.
No.
And we cross to Ida Nakuya. Nakuya was in the council.
I think my submissions are made by Mpambara and...
No. You see, Nakuya, there is a reason why God gave each one of us a head. Now, you have your own head.
And especially why you come to summarize it all.
Yeah, sure. I want to sarcastically share with you guys. We used to have some OB sometime at campus, and then in the discussion group, he would say, I will discuss the conclusion.
Which plays a very big part of.
Yeah, so I was like, you see, after everyone else has been, they were like,
I'm
okay.
not discussing the conclusion now.
For those who write, you know how
either you
important the
discuss
conclusion
Mukaaku's conclusion. Anyhow, that was back
And Madame Yvonne, who was not even allowed.
discuss the intro. So going to discuss the conclusion. Now to say you participated in the process and want to refer to what you went through. Unlike the two comrades, what lessons did you learn? What's your take home? Especially given your generation, get away from his. Because at the end of it all, just like if we all know, we believe in the law of nature, he's good years ahead of you or ahead of us. What type of a country he is going, okay, what type of opposition or government do you think they are going to leave to your generation? Paint for us that picture in, you have 3 minutes.
Maybe one my take home is, and I gave it to myself, it's important for me to listen to the messages of candidates before choosing who is the best. That's me. And wherever I was going, I was telling people who were questioning me, who is your presidential candidate? I told them DF has no president in this race. But it gives me a chance to vote a person of my what? My choice, just as the Constitution does. And I told them, don't allow any member of parliament to decide for you who the president should be. And neither should you allow any president to decide for you who your member of parliament should be. The two are different. Let people come to you, give you their message, based on that, and elect sensibly. Then, 2, my take home is, those bad leaders we are complaining about are voted into power, but by the majority who do not come to vote.
Repeat that. They
The
are
bad
voted
leaders.
by people who don't come to vote.
The bad leaders who people are complaining about are voted into power by the majority of the voters who do not turn up to vote. Actually, if you did not vote, you have no right to even talk about the voting. You have no right to complain about the taxes.
No, as observers. Why are you pushing people away?
Actually, you have no right.
From the UN.
Why? You see, stop being a dictator. Why?
No, I'm
let
bringing
people
it
give
to
their
the-
opinions.
I'm talking about
and
the
give us reasons
voters.
why they didn't even
I'm
participate
talking
in the
about
process.
the 50% that did
Who
not
didn't turn
show
up.
up to vote. You are the biggest problem this country has. And I'll bring back Dr. Besige's message that the problem we are having are the elites who choose not to do what? To vote. Still now they are still there. And they are very busy. They turn on their screens, discuss political matters where they do not participate. You've not participated in a dance. You don't know how loud the music was.
You observe as a judge.
And you want to judge
And you say this one is stroke
on
wasn't
who the best
up
dancer
to-
was when you even don't know any stroke.
You have less than a minute.
Yet
Then
you
the
are saying the
other-
role. You a voter,
Yet
not
you
a
are
judge.
voter, not a judge. Then finally, I'll bring it back.
Give your closing remarks. Then I'll come to Mpambara, close with our senior comrade.
I think in the closure, you've made me forget what I was going to bring in. But I'll bring in what I said when I was beginning. Youths. My friends, the Genesis, don't run into the comedy you do not know. Don't play in a movie of whose script you do not have. You'll die behind the scenes. Understand what you're going into, and I want to put it on you. No, you can also be a president in this country. You can also be a leader, and not only a leader, you can be actually the fundamental leader Uganda is waiting for.
You remember when Museveni was taking over, he said, this is not a mere change of guns,
It was a
but
fundamental
a
change.
fundamental change. So to the young boy, young woman who is there, you may feel despised.
Fundamental change
You
in
may-
a positive direction or negative?
Whichever, as long
So
as
it is
you know,
fundamental.
there are times when people yearn for change, irrespective of where it's taking them, but they want what?
You're reminding me of some
They
philosopher who
want
said
change.
that
So
no matter what you do, just give it your best. So if you're a thief, make sure you're known for that.
that's what
If you're
I
a
can
dictator, you're
have.
known for that. If you're a Democrat, so give it your best. Okay.
And in
close,
conclusion,
yeah,
I
sure.
want to say it's a blessing being part of the panel. I've seen Yvonne for the first time, and I know I've known my national chairperson for 15 years in politics, but I've not been with him on the same panel. So I want to also bless the Lord for that. This is my first panel with him.
Thank you.
It's a great
Too
blessing,
humbled.
and I want to credit the Digitalk for giving me the opportunity. I'll keep serving
You are
my
not
country.
inviting Yvonne to dinner?
By the way, Yvonne,
Chance
And
of
we
being
This will be our
someone
next
that-
presidential candidate.
you know, and with us it will be automatic. No one will put you aside. It will be
You won't
automatic.
sideline her.
We will fight to see that you get there. I think
Maybe you
I
have
concluded.
discussed the conclusion.
I've discussed the conclusion. Now they can also mark the conclusion.
Mpambara, you have 1.5 or
Okay.
to the max 2 minutes. Then he will wrap up for all of us. Yeah, we should also have the take home. Yeah, give us your take home.
I remember President Museveni making a statement where he said, and I think we were discussing it earlier, where he said, I'm going to chew opposition like a samosa. And I was telling you earlier that that statement, when I was going through this entire election, it stayed in my mind because I
You
was
would
trying
hear
to
him crush
understand.
the
Yes,
samosa, the opposition.
I was seeing so many things happening and I was trying to process
And you are seeing that
what this man actually
should.
said and what is actually coming to fruition. So I think Ugandans need to wake up, and I don't think they are doing enough mental gymnastics to wake up to the fact that we have power-hungry people that are willing to do anything either to take power or to remain in power. So in terms of where we insert our energy, especially as a young demographic, it's very important we understand where we are putting it. It's very important we understand what these power dynamics are, so that when we're making decisions, they are informed. And then also as leaders, and especially emerging leaders, we need to stand by the right principles. It's not just a matter of having power anymore. We need to stand by things that progress us as a nation, as a whole. If you're power hungry and you're willing to harm Ugandans, you're no longer a leader. Because why are you happy with the bloodshed of Ugandans? So we need to be leaders that are very cognizant of the fact that every single drop of every Ugandan is very important. And whatever we are pushing forward has to be in terms of what their safety is. So if we are hungry to the point that we don't care what happens to Ugandans, it's going to become very catastrophic for us to say we will have a change at the expense of whatever it is. Whether Ugandans die, whether they don't, it's very dangerous to push that kind of narrative. So I'll insist, my last minute, I'll insist that leadership has to be principled. It has to be visionary. It has to be safe for each and every Ugandan. We cannot be in these generations now, and we're still talking about bloodshed of any Ugandan. We've had so many regimes where Ugandans have shed blood. It should not be that case anymore. So we need to wake up, we need to realize what we need to do to progress our country forward, and we need to realize that Ugandans have the solutions. And they are the ones to propel this country forward, not individuals, not one or two people, whether as the leading regime, whether as head of opposition, whether as we have the vision ourselves.
Okay. Even when I'm not going to give you a second to reply to this, I want our most senior comrade now here in present, the Baganda, those two are Baganda for your information, and I'm one of them, born in Rwembo. Though with him say Baganda say insegura mirambo. Now, okay. Honorable Mukaaku, give us a way forward. Okay, all of this has happened. Remember our previous discussion, and then what? Then what?
Um,
You have, okay. 2 minutes.
Because we go to an election not for the sake of achieving political seats, but wanting to find a proper formula to share power, to win or share power. That's the underlying thing. We need to talk, Norman. I'm sure the old man, together with colleagues, the cabal he has, must have gotten long ago tired of being looked at in a mirror, questioned by the international community, local media, young Gen Zs, and everyone else like it has been here. They are not proud to leave that legacy. They will never be proud. Neither are they proud to leave a legacy of Batimba Bula. Batimba Egwanga Bula. They took us for a ride. I'm sure also those in the opposition today leading wouldn't want to leave a legacy of they came to politics, they brought Kadingo politics. No one would want. I'm sure my young brother and mentee, Chagulanyi, that's not the type of legacy he would like. I'm sure he has a brain to understand this and to appreciate it. Neither the rest of us should we want to be looked at as people who did nothing. Nothing, and that's the legacy that we want to leave behind. Right from the intellectuals, those other actors that you have mentioned. So the best thing, we need to talk. Leave the shameless of the elections that we have seen and propagated and participated in. We need to talk. And we need to talk what? Reforms, reconciliation, transition. That's what we need to give the other generation. We can talk about the industries, the muogo we produce, the milk, and whatever. But I've told you, with the example of Libya, Iraq, Rwanda, and elsewhere, and including Sudan, we don't want to leave our countries burnt and mumiyonga while we go to sleep, we go to God to be judged for what we didn't do. Okay. So we need to talk.
Words from, at least for now in the studio, from our elder, Honorable Mukaaku. He's been in this struggle for long, and how I wish that one day what he's fighting for and the rest of our colleagues, the struggle, come to see it and see a better country for all of us with equal opportunities for all. My name is Nakuya Mpambara. We continue to pray that by God's grace, some other time we shall invite the same people, either on this very show or a different one, some bit of a dialogue or something, and then we continue to share and expound what each one of them represents when it comes to where they come from in terms of political affiliations and independent minds like Mpambara. We were here and you had Chairman Mukaaku persuading her. Who knows?
I'll continue to talk to her.
Who knows? She could. Yeah. Who knows? She could seek.
Not to have Uganda back.
She could seek shelter under their big tree. See you some other time.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.